Namaste and welcome. This is Shantal from She Achieves Studio. This morning, almost a full moon, almost. Can you feel the energy? Oh, yeah. This morning, we have yoga card pull, and I'm going to be over on the yoga mat, chilling out. And this morning, yes, I'm going to come into Sukhasana. Sukhasana. Let me just angle the pillow, the bolster a bit. There we are. I got the fuzzy sheepskin pillows to keep me all cozy. And here we have the cards we used from last night's card pull, which is the Messages from Your Animal Spirit Guides by Stephen Farmer. A wonderful deck, very, very powerful deck. We have Yoga for Mind, Body, and Spirit by Rachel Scott, a very lovely, quick little read for yoga, embracing mind, body, and spirit. And of course, we have the yogic path cards, because I'm all about the yoga, don't you know? Let me just wake the cards up. Beautiful. And then we will call in sacred space. So if you're standing, kneeling, lying, wherever you are, as long as you can find some type of a position that is in stillness, that would be lovely to call in some sacred space. Beautiful. Everybody's happy. Let's open up and wake up the book. Beautiful. There we are. And here we have White Buffalo Sage, my go-to for cleansing and clearing space, with a wooden match, of course. And we call upon all the sacred spirits of the southwest, north, and the east to help guide us. We open ourselves up to the universe this morning. Almost a full moon, lots of power radiating around, energy building up and ascending. And we bring in also the ancient elders, the archangels, the angels, all the guardians of the galaxy to help guide us in this morning journey of yoga card pull. Beautiful. And why do I do this? Well, it's basically, it's not so much a longing to do this as it is a more intuitive pull. I'm being pulled. That's why it's a card pull. And I'm sharing the wisdom and the love of the universe with others, because sometimes universal guidance can offer us a beautiful space beyond the mind, beyond the mind's thoughts. Okay, the mind only knows how to think. That's its job. Okay, so it's a process. The mind is a process. And sometimes we tend to be very consolidated in the mind and the thoughts, and we start to identify ourselves with the thoughts that we have. Then when we invite that higher consciousness and that higher frequency of the universe, it creates space between thoughts and the present tense. Okay, so we sort of alleviate the pressure of the mind's thoughts when we go into an intuitive approach. And I love it. And there's some smoke from the sage just hanging out. Oh my gosh, that is like so cool. Okay, I love it. So let's begin with a belly breath in and a belly breath out. Hands to the heart center. One more breath in. Soften the jaw, feel the tongue, belly breath out. And one more time, belly breath in. Navel to third eye, expand out into the universe. And as you breathe out, drop all of that beautiful energy back down into the body. Lovely. Okay, let's start with yoga for mind, body, and spirit. And namaste to everyone who is watching live or the recording. Thank you for showing up and hanging out. Feel free to stop scrolling anytime and just hang out with me for a few minutes. Okay, here we go. Let's see. What is this? Oh, I love it. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. The Mangala Mantra. Beautiful. I love it. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. I love it. Okay, so what? Oh. Okay, I'm also going to read this. Tapas, a Sanskrit word that describes the heat and friction necessary for change. So we call that Rajas Guna in Guna Yoga School. And I am offering Guna Yoga School. The spring session starts March 26th to June 26th. It's on selected weekends. There's 3 spaces left. If you're interested in really pursuing a higher consciousness within yourself through yoga, Guna Yoga will lead you there. The 3 gunas are the 3 universal qualities of the entire universe. So when you learn how to balance those 3 qualities inside of yourself, you can then learn how to balance those qualities through Guna Yoga outside of yourself. So it's a very powerful certification. It's an international certification through Yoga Alliance. However, if you're interested and don't want to teach yoga to other people, absolutely beautiful. Show up, make the plans, do what you got to do, and bring yourself as the greatest teacher that you have. So whether you teach or not, doesn't matter. It's involving the 3 universal attributes of the entire universe through yoga. So we can use that teaching, the wisdom and knowledge, into our everyday in real time and in real life. Okay, so we can actually use what we learn. Isn't that nice to be able to use what you learn? I love it. Okay, so tapas, a Sanskrit word, describes the heat and friction necessary for change. Okay, so if something stays the same, it's going to stay the same. Okay, yes, we're always in a constant flux. Yes, we are. So there, no matter what, you're always changing, yet the same experiences can happen. So when we invite tapas, tapas is our willingness to endure intensity for the sake of transformation. Oh, yes, tapas. I'm going to read that again. Tapas is our willingness to endure intensity for the sake of transformation. Transformation takes time. I've transformed myself and my life many, many times, and I honestly cannot say that each time has been graceful and fluid. It's been choppy, yet I kept showing up because I was following my true soul path, the Dharma versus the karma. And it takes friction to change karma, to go from karma into Dharma. It really takes a lot of effort. Yet it is accessible. And in essence, that's what I teach here, whether it's Guna Yoga School training or coming in for a Thai yoga massage or just practicing some private Kundalini yoga or whatever it is. Okay. There is space for you to be able to access this transformation. Beautiful. And good morning. I am way back here and I see someone commented, and I will read that in a few moments. So thank you for showing up this morning. Let's get to a card pull. Remember the word tapas. And it's a beautiful experience when you're able to finally get through the tapas, when you're able to get through that friction and transformation. And it takes courage, it takes faith, it takes support. It takes a lot of internal motivations to be able to work through everyday frictions. And that's why we keep showing up and doing the work. And we work through excuses. Excuses can be very great stalling tactics, and they can also be a form of procrastination, yet excuses can also be great motivators when you're tired of the excuses. Here we are, Sattva. I love it. Sattva. Okay, so sattva is actually one of the 3 gunas. The 3 gunas, which I teach in Guna Yoga School. The first one is sattva, which is air element in balance. The second one is rajas, which is fire element, irritation, movement, energy. And the third one is tamas, which is earth energy, dull, stagnant, stillness. Okay, so when we're able to understand and weave all of the 3 gunas into everything in yoga, we then have a better understanding to be able to embody that knowledge within ourselves, so we then can use it in our relationships with others, in our relationships with ourselves. Okay, so sattva is reminding us today, the eve of the full moon, is that there is balance. We can teach, we can learn balance. And when we have balance, it's sort of, we see it as something in the middle of 2 polarities. And it's very helpful to be able to start to acknowledge when we're coming into balance and when we're coming out of balance, versus just recognizing when we're not in balance, when we're at either end of the spectrum. Okay, so that's what paying attention is all about. That's what mindfulness is all about. Okay, so let's read sattva. Let's see what the book has to say this morning on sattva. So this is Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga. I'm so excited for Guna Yoga School. There's 3 spots left. I am so excited to talk yoga in the studio. It's a small group. There's only 6 people. So there's 3 spots left, and it's definitely a space for tapas, for transformation. Yes. Sattva, purity and clarity. When you have let go of all the things that were holding you back and are reaching deeper levels of clarity. Okay, so we're moving through the excuses, we're moving through the tapas to find a deeper sense of clarity. Maybe you've cleaned up your diet, home, self-care products, relationships, thought patterns, careers, goals, or life outlook, and are now experiencing the joys that come with purity, sattva. So sattva is air element. Again, it's clarity, it's peace, it's harmony, it's a balance. The space you have created is allowing greater gifts that are more aligned with your true truth to present themselves. So let me read that again. The space you have created is allowing greater gifts that are more aligned with your truth to present themselves. So when we live in a state of confusion, heaviness, tamas, or excessive rajas, excessive irritation, which leads to anger, or tamas, that dull heaviness, which leads to procrastination, when we're in those states, and they're excessive, it sort of fogs the path of our true self, okay, because we're having a big experience with them. So that's why it's important to find the balance, to learn, okay, if I'm feeling excessive irritation, what can I tangibly do in my real life to come out of that? Let's say you're at work, you're driving, you're with family, you're walking the dog, whatever it is, you're shopping. It doesn't matter what action you're using. That state of rajasic, of intense irritation, can happen at any time. So why not learn how to recognize it, be willing to recognize it, and then do something about it to soothe it? And that goes the same on the other end of the spectrum with tamas. If we're feeling super dull, super heavy, okay, learn how to, in real life, in real time, come out of that state as best you can. And it's going to be different for everyone. And to at least tap into that sattvic state, even if it's just for a moment. It's very powerful. And then you become a little bit more clear. And then, you know what this is, though, too? I'm just going to go into Vajrasana here. I need to stretch my toes. If we're clouded with these, rajasic excessive attributes or tamasic excessive attributes, Sometimes we might have a hard time finding that clarity, finding the light. And then maybe we're not asking for help. And then maybe we're not eating the right foods. Our sleeping habits, go to pot. Our daily routine that we actually thrive in no longer becomes like an important part of the day. So we can become off track very easily, just like the yoga mat. The path, as much as the yoga mat is straight and narrow, the path of life is not straight and narrow. Isn't that cool? Have we ever thought about that? The yoga mat is straight and narrow, yet anything can happen on it. And when you get on the yoga mat, it doesn't matter to the yoga mat if you can touch your toes. It doesn't matter if you're sleepy, grumpy, sad, mad, or happy. It just wants you to show up. Yet the path of life is not this straight and narrow. And that's why we're supported by the yoga mat, because it gives us that foundation to build upon, even if we're unsteady. Okay. That's why I love the yoga mat. It's like a clean palette. Anything can happen on it. And whatever happens on the yoga mat, can it be enough? So when we're in these excessive rajasic or tamasic tendencies, we tend to put blinders on, and then we don't see the help and the clarity that's around us. So what do we do then? Well, we practice yoga. We show up on the mat, even if we're feeling those excessive tendencies, and we do the best to move through those energies and to be curious about them, to open up a larger space so we can move through them and ask for help and ask for support. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. So bring sattva, purity, into all that you do, and your path will continue to become more clear. Now that's really great to hear. But how do we do that? Well, we want to become into a sense of willingness. So that's tapas. We want to recognize that we're in a state of friction and we're able to move through, and focusing on the clarity that you do want, the clarity that you have had, the direction of energy. Where we direct the energy is actually where the energy is going to go. So having this cognizant relationship and being like conscious in how we feel and where we're directing that energy. Yes? Make a sense. I'm going to just see who's there because I want to say hello. Shauna. Oh, Shannon. Shannon, darling. Hello. Good morning. Good morning if you are still there. Okay, back in Sukhasana on my little bolster. And let's go into the card of the animal spirits. So we have sattva. It's reminding us that balance in our lives and selves is accessible. And it's just reminding us. And the animal cards are going to help us understand how we can flow into that space of sattvic state, of that sattvic state. I love it. And as I'm shuffling, this is a reminder that Friday night is going to be fire pit ceremony under the full moon in my backyard. There's 2 spaces left. DM me, connect with me to register. We will be hosting our own ceremony under the full moon around the fire pit, cleansing energy. So we're working on clarity. Oh, there we go. Clarity tomorrow night around the fire pit. Join me and connect with me to register if you want to show up. Okay, walrus. So this is how we can flow into the state of sattva guna. Remain vigilant. Remain vigilant about the current situation. Pay attention to signs and omens and let them dictate your choices. So this is inviting us to be able to flow into sattva guna, which is a state of clarity and harmony. It's inviting us to connect to our intuition. And intuition means that you are knowing without having to reason. So again, just as I mentioned at the beginning of the live, we have the opportunity always available to us to move beyond the mind's thoughts and having to reason with what's going on in the situation when we come from a place of intuition. And this creates a lot of space for us to become into air element, which is Sattva Guna. Okay, let's read a little story here. Signs and omens show up in the myriad of ways, from the wind's rustle of the trees that make it seem as if they're whispering to you, to the rainbow that appears just before an event in which you're participating. Okay, so if we're looking up, we see these signs. If we're always looking within, yes, we want to look within. Yeah, we want to be able to move into that space of within. We want to be careful if we start getting stuck in there. When we look and we turn inward, we want to have that air element to help flow through versus just being jammed inside. When you're pondering any kind of question about your life purpose, relationships, career, you can ask Spirit to give you clear and specific signs. Then watch, listen, feel, and allow those thoughts to flow. While you may not always get an absolutely clear response, more often than not, you'll pick up signs and clues through your eyes, ears, sensations in your body, or thoughts that seem to come out of the blue. You may even have vivid and remarkably lucid dreams that you can easily recall in the morning. And that's intuition. And intuition connects with our pineal gland into the third eye. It's light element. And it brings us, when we see, we see with a sense of clarity, it's usually bright out. We usually have light around us. When it's dark, sometimes we have trouble sort of deciphering what is what, and we're not really sure. So with Sattva Guna, how can we balance the darkness and the light at the same time? Well, we bring our thoughts inward, we bring the sensations inward, we become curious, we move through inside of us, and then we go out and expand it in the world. And when we're talking about pranayama, when we inhale, we bring the breath in and it goes down and fills up from the bottom to the top. We expand it out into the universe. And then as you breathe out, we pull that energy back in and drop it back down. So we can use that universal guidance and energy in our everyday and everyday lives, in ourselves, in our lives, in our relationships, in our jobs, in our motivations, in our stagnancies, whatever it is. Okay, I love it. Beautiful. Well, there we go. Moral of the story. Sattva Guna is always accessible when we connect to intuition. Love it. I love it. And how do we connect to intuition? Well, we become still. We become present and still. So to end this card pull out, and I want to thank the Guardians of the Galaxies and the cards. Thank you for showing up. They're absolutely beautiful. I'm going to invite you. I'm going to go into a few minutes of silence and stillness right now. And cleaning up everything so everything is nice and clean. Beautiful. Coming into seated Sukhasana, a little bit of prop support, rubbing the hands together, and to bring the hands to the heart center. Chest is lifted, spine is long, head is humbled. Soften the jaw, feel the tongue. And very gently take your time, passively breathe, and drop the body into that breath. Drop the breath into that body. Expand the mind up into intuition. Let it take flight. Now, very gently, moving as slowly as possible, you can bring your hand mudra into Gaian Mudra, the index fingernail pressed against the thumb pad, or the tips of the index finger to the thumbs. Chest is lifted, head is humbled. Relax the jaw and feel the tongue. Next breath out, open mouth, gentle sigh. Bring the hands to heart center. And we thank the guardians of the galaxies, all of the ancient elders, the archangels and angels, in guiding us into this universal journey of life. The work here is now done. The work here is now done. The work here is now done. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is that done? Beautiful. Peace out. Thank you so much. That was like awesome. I feel good. Feeling good. Feeling good. Let me just crawl over and say the farewells. Thank you so much for showing up. Shannon and all of you who shared this space with me, whether it's live or recorded, I keep showing up because the Dharmic path is beautiful. It's full of clarity, balance, love, light, freedom, compassion, support, and is accessible to each and every one of us when we are willing to step into the sattvic guna. Thank you so much. I say namaste. Peace out. I love you all. Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Please check out sheachievestudio.com. There's a few deadlines of series that are happening in the next week or two. So be sure to check it out so you do not miss out on an opportunity that is calling to you to reach your higher consciousness and dharmic path through yoga, one breath at a time. Peace out. I see you tomorrow. Peace out. Sat Nam.